Okay, so I'm about to get ready. I'm very nervous. Today, I'm speaking on my very first social media panel for Comcast. But what will I wear? Oh my goodness, I am so nervous. This is my first time ever speaking on any type of panel about my craft, social media. I'm excited, but I'm very nervous. Comcast Business reached out to me and asked me to be a part of the select few on this panelist that are also in the social media space, and to just come and talk to these grant recipient winners about how to use social media in their business. So Comcast has a grant called Comcast Rise that business owners, entrepreneurs, anybody who has a business can apply. I hope this is like the first of many speaking engagements, but I just have to get over that hump of like the fear of speaking, because I know what I'm talking about. I know what to say, but it's also like, am I giving them enough? Am I saying enough? Is this going to be helpful? So imposter syndrome a little bit, just a little bit. But without further ado, let's get into it.
My girl Brianna Dunn, she's the creator behind Travel Well Done. And then Jacob Miller, creator behind 904 Coffee. Give it up for everyone here. And John is actually going to host this panel for us, so take it away, John.
Take it away. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, everybody. Before we get started, I'm going to have everybody kind of tell us a little bit more about you each up here.
My name is Matt Gallner. John and I are partners at Bachman Gallner Communications. We started about 4 months ago, so we're just kind of getting rolling on this too. Prior to this, I did communications and public policy work for the Chamber of Commerce for about 10 years, and prior to that was a newspaper reporter for 15 years.
Debbie?
Hi, I'm Debbie Magyar. I'm the Regional Director of the SBDC at UNF. We're here today to share best practices and contribute to the social media conversation that's happening in our community. We offer no-cost consulting and support small business owners throughout Florida, so very happy to be here.
Did you hear that? No cost. Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Brianna Dunn, creator of Travel Well Done, and I am a traveling foodie. So I travel around the world and local places to highlight the local businesses for food and travel, the intersection. But I also go beyond the plate because I love hearing the stories of those small businesses. So glad to be here and can't wait to share more.
I'm Jacob Miller. I'm the creator of 904 Coffee, like the school says. I'm more than a barista. I started out as a barista. I was highlighting local coffee shops in Jacksonville and the baristas who work there and just having a good time doing it as well.
Congratulations to all of you for being here, because you're all doing something right. I don't know if any of us are doing it quite as well as Brianna. Okay, so let's start with the first question. That is, what are some effective strategies for small businesses to build an engaging social media presence?
Look at people who are doing the same thing you are. Don't be afraid to, I wouldn't say copy it, because you're not copying it. You couldn't do what they do. You're going to take their idea and you're going to put your spin on it no matter how you do it. But don't be afraid to look at the competition and do a version of what they're doing if it's successful.
I'll add to that. I know social media can be a little scary, and people always look at the followers, but it's a lot more than that. It's more about your community, kind of like hearing your audience, and you really want to share your story about who you are to that audience. And don't be afraid to ask those followers, even if there's 100 or 50, about what you can do more for your audience. Ask them, don't be afraid to be like, hey, do you guys like what I'm doing? And then implement those strategies into your social media so you can build on that. It's all about community, not about the followers.
And I think understanding that it's not always about the numbers, it's more quality sometimes over quantity, and also understanding your why, that it is about community, or maybe there's a specific cause that you want to promote, but always understand your why before you sit down to create your content.
The thing I'd add is I would pay attention to which platform you're using based on which audience you're trying to reach, kind of what Jacob had talked about earlier. I mean, So we have clients that do some things that are really effective on LinkedIn because that's kind of their professional services. That's who they're trying to reach. And then others would be more effective on Instagram and some other things. So that's what I would pay attention to too.
The second question, which is what my partner Matt was just starting to get into, and that is how can small businesses identify and reach their target audience on different social media platforms?
Well, it depends on the platform. I'm just going to repeat it because we're all going to kind of say similar answers. The platform is important. If you're reaching out for a younger demographic, you might be on TikTok. I don't know a lot of people's grandparents who do any of these dances, but your little cousins, nieces, and nephews, they're doing it. So what I'm saying is know your demographic and know the platform. What's being pushed on the platform? And these are just things you know when you get on the platform. It's all about action.
Yeah, you've got Instagram and you've got YouTube, which are typically pictures and video heavy, obviously, right? And then LinkedIn is more targeted for the business community, and it's just, you have to strategically figure out what it is you're doing. And I would argue, getting to the TikTok issue, like sometimes businesses, depending on what your business is, you're not, of course, if your audience is not, you know, young people, your target audience is not that, you're not gonna be on TikTok. You might not even think it's crazy, it's kind of crazy to be on Instagram or something like that, but the reality is that you're trying to tell your story, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're selling your stuff, but what you are doing is you're selling your story, selling your brand that eventually could turn into a sale. Debbie?
I would just add that don't ever hesitate to ask your clients or customers which platforms they're on or for recommendations, because they usually have the best feedback.
And I'll say too, even though Jacob was like, you won't be on TikTok, there are some people making some money on TikTok that are grandmas and grandpas. And they're not necessarily dancing, but they're telling their stories and they're showing their businesses, and they're doing just fine. So I would just add that you don't have to be on every single platform. That will lead to burnout. Just pick one, focus on that, and then if you see your audience is also on another, then do that and mix up your content if you can. Or what I like to call is repurpose your content. Just because someone saw one video on TikTok does not mean the same audience will see that on Instagram.
And I read, and I don't remember where this is, and this is getting a little off topic, but YouTube is one of the most searched, that's one of the sites that has the most searches on it. So in other words, they're not just going to Google to search stuff, they're going to YouTube to search it, and they're getting it, which is wild to me. So move on to the third question, which is what we've all kind of been dancing around a little bit, and that is what types of content perform best for small businesses? How can they keep that content, that means you, fresh and relevant? So, you know, we're not doing TikTok dances all the time, and some businesses are visual and some aren't. How do you do that, particularly for maybe some businesses that aren't visual, right? Because we're talking about a lot of visual stuff here. So maybe some tips for the folks who might not be in a visual business, like the accountants. Are there any accountants in the room? All right, yeah, okay.
Well, video is one of the most preferred types of content for sure in this day and age, and very short video. Also, we've worked with a lot of businesses that, much like accounting or services, that aren't very visual, they think, but sometimes there's business in your bio. So maybe you do something very extraordinary. Maybe you're a runner, or maybe you have a specific nonprofit that you work with. And sometimes people will follow service-related businesses because of who you are and what you stand for. So that's something to not really put on the back burner, because I think most entrepreneurs are not just running their business, they're doing extraordinary things, building community, supporting families, supporting schools. So don't hesitate to put that out there. And secondly, repurposing, is something that I think we don't do enough, because you're always trying to create fresh content, which will burn you out. And sometimes just using intermittently the video and the still images, and alternating some of those images in an email campaign, or vice versa. And that can help to mix it up without having to create a lot of new stuff.
And I would say for the accounting or just any business that's more service than visual, how-to videos, a lot of people don't know what they don't know. And so when you break it down to like super easy steps and create you don't have to put everything in one video. You could literally split it up between 6 videos and now you have a whole week of content over just one subject.
Yeah, pull the curtain back. You know, nobody knows exactly what accountants do except use that little calculator.
People a lot of times think of social media as being very spontaneous and in the moment, but I think developing, especially for an accountant, if you develop a content calendar, knowing kind of what dates are coming up and when people might be looking for this content, it might help. I mean, there's a client that we're working with on a rehabilitation project for affordable housing, and we decided to get drone video and stuff of it before they started work on it, so we could keep using that as this 10-month project. It moves forward. So trying to think a little bit far in advance and really plan out your calendar and your content, I think, can be helpful.
If being on social media is supposed to help boost your business, that's the ultimate goal. And to your point, you do that by making connections. I mean, there are some occasions where you can actually sell things on social media, but for the most part, it's about familiarity, and the next time somebody needs something that you offer, they're gonna go to you because they're familiar with you. They feel like they know you, and they wanna go do business with you. Kind of talked about it. The picture I sent was a picture of Derek, a veteran, getting the key to his first apartment in 15 years. And it was a story that we worked with our client. Derek got keys to his first apartment after being homeless for many, many years. And he was, you can see the smile on his face. And so what happened was our client, wants to get more awareness of what they're doing, and they asked us to try to put Derek's story on television. We were able to do that, and then as a result, we're able to then turn around and put that coverage on social media and the website and all the other places. So now we could have just done this on social media and would have if that was the case, but that's another route you can go. Working with local media and helping tell the story, and then you can have a lot of content then later for your own social media. Next question. How can small businesses decide how much to invest in social media?
The first recommendations that we suggest you look at are your margins and making sure that what you're going to promote is going to be profitable. Because oftentimes the social media can be a lot more successful than you expected, but then you're not able to scale up fast enough to deliver. So you want to be very mindful when you're trying to determine what your budget is the return on investment that you're looking to get from it. We always suggest that you start in a space that you're familiar with and a product or service in your business that you can deliver at scale if you needed to. And just be mindful of running ads and paid pieces of advertising, because that can get very expensive very quickly. And oftentimes we've heard stories that are true where we had an exterminator who had over $30,000 in Facebook ads because they didn't turn them off. And so you want to make sure that you take this in baby steps, and you want to make sure that it's giving you a return on your investment. For every dollar that you spend, understand how many dollars you want back.
Understand your expectation. You're going to give them your money, but the result is not, but it's not going to be immediate. They could give you some content and it goes crazy the first month. It might only go crazy for that first month. Go crazy is good, by the way. I'm sorry. It might do really well for that first month, but don't expect it to always just be incredible and to get you an incredible amount of sales. It's a game of consistency. So if you do decide to hire someone out to do your ads or your social media, you should taper your expectations because it might not be immediate.
This is a related question, and then we'll start taking some of your questions, if you have any, so start thinking of them. How should small businesses measure success of their content? This is a really good one, right? What key metrics should they focus on? We just got done telling you that, views are not the end-all be-all, right? How do you measure success on social media versus the bottom line?
Well, first I want to know, what is it that you're looking to gain from social media? Do you want a bunch of views? Then if you got a bunch of views, perfect. If you were looking to make sales, if you only got a bunch of views and didn't make any sales, that was not successful. So I would say it's dependent on what is it that you're looking for.
I would suggest making sure whichever platform you are going to be primarily using, that you understand the backside of the platform, so understanding what the analytics look like. And then to your point, we would also want to make sure that you are understanding what the purpose of the campaign is. So as Jacob said, if it's views, then you want to see, are they translating into going over to your website? Are they translating into people signing up, giving you information? What is next step? And so just understanding what you want to track and then figuring out a path that you can do it yourself to track these things.
Just kind of goes back to knowing your audience too. And I'll add also that while social media platforms are good, having your own website and building your email list is also very, very important, because social media, we don't own social media, but you can own your website, you own that email list. So if social media goes down, which it has, you still can send out an email selling something, or letting them know, hey, you're still there. So that email list is very important as well. It's another scalable thing that you can use.
And I think that's just another way to share the content, because like we talked about before, not everyone's on every channel, and being able to repurpose your content through email newsletters, social, and on the website, that's really to just get the most mileage out of the content that you're producing, I think is important for small businesses.
I think we have somebody in the back ready to ask a question. Go ahead. Yes.
How you doing? I have two questions actually.
Bingo, bring them.
Number one, I'm a big foodie. I'm an ultimate foodie. So, number one question right now, and I don't want you to be biased, so I'm not going to ask about Jacksonville, but anywhere in the U.S., what's your favorite restaurant?
Oh my goodness, this is such a hard question for a foodie.
Boom, 1, 2, 3, go.
I mentioned Savannah, since I just recently went, called Ardley Station. Phenomenal food, and alligator sole. I know that's two. But in the world, that's super hard. Okay. In the U.S., it's hard too.
I wrote it down. Okay, so question number two. I think for the entire audience, I'll just kind of speak on this. And I think what we would want to know for those who are just probably taking baby steps into marketing, right, and social media, right, can any one of you walk through that process of the creative aspect, right, of like, okay, this is the first week of December. This is the type of post that I want to create, and how, based on the values that I have for my business, right? Or like, what type of reaction do I want from my audience or my following to now lead into the very next post? Can anyone kind of speak on that for me?
Absolutely, it's a great question. I think first and foremost, you got to figure out, as we've kind of stated already, what is your ultimate purpose, right? And then what is the best story to tell to hit that purpose, right? So, what's your business? You can just shout it out.
Well, I have multiple businesses, but cleaning business.
Cleaning business, like a business cleaning business, like you go and clean business offices, or commercial and residential. Okay, so let's just call it a cleaning business for offices. All right, so I would assume that you want to get across that your cleaning crew is top-notch, trustworthy, and very thorough. Correct? Okay, so let's go with top-notch, thorough, and trustworthy. Those are the three things that we want to communicate to our potential clients. You guys can weigh in anytime. I'm spitballing here, so just jump right in. Okay, those are the three things, right? That's the key message we're going to try to get across. All right? How do we do that? What's the best way to do that? I don't know. Maybe it would be to follow along with John, who's your most veteran cleaner.
A day in the life.
A day in the life of John. What does John do? Show him putting those gloves on and getting dirty, right? But then clean it up and it's showing a spotless place, right? You definitely don't want to show a nasty place.
No, you do. People like that.
Well, maybe a before, yeah, maybe
Before, afters.
Before and after.
Before and after, yeah, right? Okay, you got all that stuff, right? And then the next thing could be a quick little heart-to-heart from you on camera talking about how important it is that you go and hire good quality people and how they're thoroughly vetted. And walk us through that process. Do you do a background check? Do you only hire veterans? Maybe you hire some people with disabilities because there's a great charity or there's an organization that you support, right? How many did I just do? How many we run down?
At least
I think I got you a couple months worth of content right there. Does that help? So, I mean, that's the kind of thing you do, and then you just brainstorm, you hit it, and you just knock it out.
How do we even begin the conversation to start to generate those ideas, right? Are we moving away from our 9 to 5, right? Or us as entrepreneurs, right? There's 2 or 3 other things we're working on, right? But where do we kind of set a somewhat consistent schedule, right? Or a creative space to think about that next post? That's the ultimate question there.
Go ahead, guys.
So you're asking where you should get started as far as posting? Is that kind of?
Well, I'm honestly asking for one of you to just walk me through what would you post and how would you post it and how would you think about posting that? That's the question.
So this is my first post as a cleaning business. What's the worst experience you've ever had as someone who runs a cleaning business? You walked into a building. Wow, this is terrible. So POV, people love POV. POV, you go into this building, just tell the story.
That's point of view, by the way, for anybody who's not keeping track. I got you.
Yeah, just tell the story. Take your, iPhone front camera. Wow, this building is disgusting. You don't have to say it like that. You just have to make the content. And this is where everyone is when they first start posting things. What do I do? How do I do it? What's my first step? Your first step is just make the content. Whatever you make, just throw it out there and see. Then you'll see, okay, this was terrible. I'm not gonna do this again. I'm not gonna make it like this again. Because I can tell you what I would do. Any of them in the panel can tell you what they would do. But maybe that would only work for us. Your first thing is always just make the content and you'll tweak it to how you want it to be. And I know this sounds like a really redundant answer, but that's just the answer I would give. You just gotta make it and throw it out there and see how you wanna do it.
This is where I would also bring in AI. So as a full-time content creator and a mom of a 13-year-old and a 7-year-old, I don't always have time to be thinking about concepts of ideas of how I can show my worth of a traveling foodie, because I'm not always traveling. I'm not a full-time traveler. I explore Jacksonville, I explore cities that I can drive to. So I would put in AI, kind of just jot down your ideas, let the system learn you, and then it'll create a system for you of content to post. And then you kind of have a starting point and you work from that to give that human behind it. Because I use AI for that when I'm just like, I'm so stuck, or I'm burnt out, or I have FOMO, or someone else is way above me, even though I've been doing this for years, which happens. I'm gonna kind of tweak this and make it my own. And then that's kind of where also when I'm like having a content break, I go to AI, I'm like, what should I do? But also when it comes to the holidays, I kind of act like a department store. So people always get mad. People get mad at content creators and just people putting Christmas stuff up in Halloween, right? But some people are already planning for Christmas in October. So you wouldn't wait till December to post Christmas stuff, you would do it in October. And that's exactly what those department stores are doing. They're putting their stuff out earlier and earlier each year. The Black Friday sales can't stop, So that's how I think about it, because you're already ahead of the curve when you do it early.
I see it on the other perspective, where actually people can get paid and get generated, money generated from those platforms. Now, what are the tricks, tips, or requirements for us users of those platforms actually get money generated for those platforms?
I was just going to say it's going to vary significantly from platform to platform and dependent upon what you're selling. So are you like an affiliate marketer or just a small business? There's a lot of different thresholds on each platform that you have to hit to even get their attention. And I don't know those to deliver that answer, but I would suggest, like for YouTube, there's a lot of research available on that type of a situation, like how many videos do I need in this space? And I would just start by researching that. Also, you could ask if you have clients or other people in your industry or at conferences that have been really successful in this space. It's also really nice to be able just to find someone that you can ask or mentor in that space. Because a lot of people post just for that goal, and then they're not really posting about their business. And so it kind of goes back to understanding why you're doing what you do, because if they're going to pay you for your followers, they would have a specific purpose for buying those.
Have you ever run a paid ad? I was running ads. I didn't know what I was doing. Don't run ads if you don't know what you're doing. It's a funny answer, but some of you will think, well, I should run an ad. Don't do it. Research it first. YouTube it. Then if you feel confident, start small. Go up.
I think that we're out of time. So we want to thank you guys. We'll stick around for a few minutes afterwards. If anybody has any follow-up questions or whatever, we'll try to answer them. If not, you can reach Matt and me at bachmangallner.com. Guys, you want to give a quick shout out to where you can be reached in case anybody wants to reach you?
904 Coffee on all platforms, Instagram, especially Instagram. Follow me there.
There we go.
Travel Well Done on all platforms, including LinkedIn. Get on that if you aren't.
There you go.
Florida SBDC at UNF.
Perfect. All right, guys, thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Your journeys remind us that behind every small business, there's a big heart, a bold idea, and an unwavering commitment to something bigger than yourselves.
Amen.
To the visionaries, the backbones of every block, we salute you. Keep rising. Cheers.
Woo!